This week on the Droids You're Looking For, a Star Wars podcast, a new Sith stormtrooper from Rise of Skywalker. He is all red, and we're going to find out more about him come this December. We're going to talk about what it means that he's a Sith stormtrooper in this last film of the Skywalker saga. Plus, Daisy Ridley has comments about the final battle with Kylo Ren in the Episode 9 final film, and we'll talk about comfort food Star Wars films once again, this time with Ryan and Chris weighing in this week on the Droids.
These are droids you're looking for. 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 Report what they throw.
Welcome back to the Droids You're Looking For, a Star Wars podcast. Alongside Chris and Ryan, I am Mike, and thrilled to be back with you. It's been a few weeks since we've had a mainline podcast.
Yeah.
Hopefully you enjoyed the Outpost about Spider-Man Far From Home, but we're back talking about Star Wars. We're getting close to San Diego Comic-Con. There's news coming out. We're getting ready for D23 in August, and the ramp-up to Rise of Skywalker. We're on the home stretch.
Ooh,
I mean, I know
we're
we're
in the
still
home stretch.
6 months away, but we're
It's
on the
within
back half of the
sight.
year.
Yeah, we can see it now. It feels real.
Wow. And then very soon it'll be part of our digital collection that we watch, what, nightly?
Yes,
Nightly. Yes.
It's so funny. Every time there's a new Star Wars movie, I try to think, like, one day I'll own this at home. You know?
I feel like
But right now I'm just trying to think about it.
I feel like they're just gonna
once
release
a
it.
week during the pod.
they'll just release it like the month after it's released in theaters.
Like, why wait?
Yeah,
Well, theatrical run, records, and such.
I like.
I guess they want to make their money.
Got to make
Yeah.
that money back.
Yeah.
Gotta make that cash, I guess.
Well, let's get into the first bit of news, and it just came out today. There was a little tiny reveal, and this is kind of the morsels, the little nuggets that we're going to get over the next few months.
Ooh.
Sith
Num-num.
Stormtrooper. He is bright red. You can go to StarWars.com, check out this new Stormtrooper. A little bit of a different helmet design, obviously inspired by the rest. When I saw this, the first thing I thought was they paired it up with all the other Stormtroopers that you've seen throughout all the films, obviously the original trilogy, Clone Wars, and then what you saw with the Force Awakens and the First Order. But I saw the TIE Fighter Stormtroopers, the Shore Troopers that are from Rogue One, the Death Troopers also from Rogue One, and all I thought was, there has not been a Stormtrooper design that I haven't liked. And this
Right.
new one, I would say it looks good, but my first reaction was, okay, well, here's your merchandising opportunity, and this is why they did it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Do you think that there's a line in the movie where someone says something like, "Who's mean dead and red all over?" and then they blow him away.
I think it might be,
Or her. Or
it might
her.
be-
Okay.
it might be closer to. Those aren't stormtroopers. Those are Sith troopers. Like, I think we'll get the brand name.
Sorry, I was waiting for the punchline.
There was
rhythm
no
was
real.
straight.
Yeah, there was no real punchline. I think
Sith
the,
troopers. Sith troopers.
The takeaway here is that they're using the word Sith, and
Yes.
this is the
Yeah.
first
That's
time
interesting. Yes.
since Maz Kanata mentioned the Sith that we actually get that tied reference back to the prequels.
And Maz was mentioning it kind of in a passing fashion. You know,
Exactly.
the Sith as in the past version.
So to name a character Sith distinctively, I mean, I think that would imply they have a large part of them in the movie.
There's a few ramifications from this term, right? So the term Sith implies that Kylo, if we're attaching Kylo Ren to it, which I think is safe to assume when we're entering this movie,
Yep.
that it means that they're using the term Sith in kind of like an organizational way. You know, that's a specific term to use. He
Right.
doesn't have to call himself a Sith. You know,
Yes.
he could call himself whatever he wants. Just don't call him late for dinner. You know what I mean? Oh, God. He's embarrassed and red all over. Anyway. But it also incites the rule of two, which could kind of explain the Palpatine connection here. Because, as we know from previous podcasts and from lore, that Sith they always come in pairs. There's always only two. Mm-hmm. There's a master and an apprentice. So
Right.
Kylo, we don't know if he's the master or the apprentice. Will he have an apprentice, or
But
will
is
he
that-
be looking for a master?
Is that
will
kind of a
Palpatine
regional-
be his apprentice? That'd be an interesting little.
Is that
buddy
kind
film.
of a Is that kind of a regional thing, though? Is it like per district? Is it per planet?
You're talking about the rule of two?
Yeah, like where?
No, it's across the board, which I understand is like confusing, but it's to prevent infighting, which has so far not worked. It should be the rule of one.
Well, so I think though maybe what we see is like obviously Kylo Ren is going against the teachings. He wants to start his own thing, so maybe this is going to blow up in his face if he does have a lot of Dark Force sensitive baddies as an army. Maybe there's a reason why you don't do this.
Well, do you think that they're stormtroopers that are Sith, or do you think they're just kind of stormtroopers that are around?
Oh, like
the
guarding
Sith?
the Sith.
Yeah, like the Praetorian Guards.
Well,
Yeah,
I think though
I'm going with they're guarding. If Palpatine is back, they're guarding Palpatine. They're the Sith trooper for Palpatine.
I mean, I think there's a little hint out of like raising some kind of Force army, kind of awakening the Force-sensitive people in the galaxy. And so I think it would stand within reason to wake the dark side as well as the light. I think maybe
I'm not sure exactly what that means, but it sounded cool.
Well, I think maybe so if we see in The Last Jedi the ending where the kid kind of realizes his powers, that he's like, hey, I am special. I can move a mop with my hand without picking it up. I think that maybe
I was going to say most people with hands can move a mop.
Yeah, right. I think Kylo Ren may be trying to pick up the scraps of the dark-sided people, and basically these might be a group of people similar to the Knights of Ren that have the dark side of the Force in them.
That's interesting. It also makes one wonder how the Knights of Ren and the Sith troopers play in, or maybe they're in cahoots. You know, like maybe the Sith troopers kind of run around with the Knights of Ren.
Right. Yeah, they could all be one. It could just be a Force-sensitive group of stormtroopers, and wouldn't that be like the ultimate stormtrooper?
Or someone at Kenner just messed up. You know, they
put
dropped it in the wrong vat.
They put the wrong. I mean, are they from Camino?
Cloners. If they brought in a clone army, I would be so excited. Anything that they do to make this coherence between the prequel trilogy, the original trilogy, and the new trilogy, I'm all for.
Well,
Jimmy Smits, sure.
Bring him
Have
in.
him come in.
A Force
Let's get
ghost
another
Jimmy
Mon
Smith.
Mothma.
Hey, it was all set up, though, in The Force Awakens, where they made a reference to, you want a clone army? Maybe Kylo said, maybe I should have gone with a clone army.
Yeah.
I was so excited to hear it.
So,
It was before I was even on this podcast. It was so long ago.
That's true.
The podcast was only a glint in Chris and Mike's eye.
That's right. A spark that ignited the flame that is this podcast. I think, what if he did clone a Sith? That's an option also. Or a dark side Force person, right?
Every single Sith trooper has a portion of Snoke's body that they've had grafted onto them.
Oh
so
my God,
they
it's
are
like a
Sith
starfish.
Trooper. Yeah.
It could be. I like the kind of the lines on the helmet. I think that's neat looking. It almost looks like an old Sony VCR.
I'm sure that's what they're going to come back with and say that was the inspiration.
Exactly.
That's
Johnny
where they all
Ives
watched
did this
Star
one.
Wars
Yeah.
for the first time
Yeah,
on a Sony
exactly.
VCR, so why not?
Yeah. No, I do like this. I do like the packaging.
For those that remember.
I do like this series of figure though. It looks pretty like a complete set. You got the lightsaber buster included. That weird prong thing that you see some of them have.
Keep going.
I can't make out the other images here, but just two blasters, I guess. I have no analogy for those.
Chris, I'm going to get you
it's
the hat
aggressively
that they're
red.
showing.
Yes.
I gotta say, it's aggressively
It is
red.
red.
I'm sure in the movie it'll look really cool. I mean, it's like red on a red box and like that whole thing. I would have put some accents of, maybe like some white shoulders or something. Mm-hmm. But that's just me. And I'm not the expert. They know what they're doing.
They're wearing the black Under Armour though. It wicks away the sweat.
It does. I have to imagine they have to stay like super hydrated, like the people in the costumes at Disney World.
Oh my God.
I think they actually have air conditioning units inside those costumes, especially for the larger ones. They still are limited in the amount of time that they can be in the park.
For your Goofies, your Mickeys, your Plutos.
Well, hey,
They have
your
little
Chewbacca's.
fans. I
Chewbacca.
swear I've seen the Times Square Elmo have like a little fan in the helmet.
I think this might be
I've
a
seen the
little bit
Times
more
Square
high-tech
Buzz
than
Light-
the Times Square guy.
I've seen the Times Square Buzz Lightyear pass out on a humid day.
Oh no.
Interesting thing about the Times Square Buzz Lightyear, that is Tim Allen.
Really?
Yeah.
Hey, you got to get cash wherever you can get it.
Yeah.
He does have all rights to the character.
Yeah. He also gets a cut of the naked cowboy.
Sith Trooper also has a flamethrower or a leaf blower, depending on what setting you choose.
It's like a Buzz Lightyear switch.
Yeah.
Do you think that's what they're doing in that shot in the trailer where Kylo's running through the forest?
Clean up this forest.
I use mulch.
It is cool looking. I do like it. It is a great nod to the tradition of red, like, Imperial guards that we've seen throughout Star Wars. And this actually makes them... I think these are the least mysterious, though, just because they're assigning Stormtrooper to it.
Yeah. We've seen these guys. They're just red.
Yeah.
Did we see anybody who was red before the Imperial Guards in Return of the Jedi? I don't think that was the first time we saw them, right?
Mm-hmm.
I believe so.
And then the next time they came up was in Last Jedi with the Praetorian Guards. We didn't have anything in the prequels, correct?
Right. In the prequels, there's a version that Palpatine has that I don't think are red. I think they're in black. The ones that Yoda throws against the wall.
Exactly. Distinctively, Yoda throws them both against the wall.
Yeah, I don't think they're in red, but they're like a proto version of that.
Got it.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of curious the number of times it does come up, and I'm wondering whether or not they come into back-to-back films like this.
Oh,
and,
they are. I'm watching the clip. They are red.
Wow.
Oh, all right.
You know what's so funny? I was about to say, guys, we really know our Star Wars.
I mean, we knew the scene. We nailed it down.
We did. Oh, you must have like the new special editions where they corrected them
exactly.
red.
Yep.
I have the original one.
Han Solo's jacket is brown.
Oh,
and
okay.
it's the same guards, it looks like, from Return of the Jedi. So what happened there? They just didn't buy new costumes until...
I think Palpatine had an aesthetic that he was sticking to.
Yeah,
and,
I guess so. If you're in charge, you're not going to change it.
I mean, you also
much.
have to be cost effective in what you're doing when you're running an empire. You can't be going through different costumes.
Do you think that he had some like weird like parameters for his guards, the way that they have like those like those gross parameters for people being Rockettes? Where it's you have to be between
you got to be a
5'8"
certain
and
height.
5'10".
Oh yeah,
I believe it. Palpatine seems like he'd do that.
That was actually one of the proposed TV series from George Lucas. Was
also
going to be
inside the costumes. I guess it's an inside the costumes kind of day. Everyone who plays a Praetorian Guard and the Imperial Guards in the movies are Rockettes. In the suits.
That is a true fact.
I thought you were going to say that they need to be required to be deeply sunburned so that even inside the suit they're bright red.
Exactly. So if you catch a glimpse of skin, it's still
red.
Yeah. If they had to do away with that though because people were eating things they were allergic to cheat it. It was becoming too dangerous.
It's actually a problem. Where do you think the red comes from? What is that a nod? It's got to be a nod to some kind of historical landmark. I know the Vatican has the Swiss Guards, and those are like yellow and blue and kind of very colonial kind of looking suits. I wonder, is there some kind of reference to this red color in history? Do we know
I have
this?
to tell you, Chris, any answer I would give would be pure speculation.
Give it to us.
That's all
you
and at that.
Well, speaking
I
of
look
red,
to the films of Akira Kurosawa.
Yeah, I was going to say, it feels,
I think if you're talking about Star Wars inspiration, you could just say a Kurosawa movie and kind of at least be in the ballpark.
They literally lifted the scene from where Han Solo stows people underneath the floorboards. That's done in...
what is it, Hidden Fortress? The one that...
Is that it?
I think that's the one that he... It was either that or Throne of Blood. That was like the big inspiration for Star Wars.
Kaje Musha has a scene that's... or I think it's Rashomon or Kaje Musha has a scene.
You're right that Hidden Fortress, I believe, is the bigger influence on Star Wars.
Oh, but maybe Kaje Musha.
The container scene, though, is like lifted directly. I remember seeing that. I was like, oh my gosh. But you're absolutely right.
All right, other news, speaking of red, in a red lightsaber, there's a great upcoming final battle in Rise of Skywalker between the lightsaber of Kylo Ren and, of course, of Rey, red on blue. Comments
It's just her versus the lightsaber? He's not there?
He's not there. He's force projecting himself across the planets and only having the lightsaber stand up and fight without him being there. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, but he looks like Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yes. So I would say this comment from Daisy Ridley, we know we're not going to get a lot from any press tour. This hasn't been the press tour that's begun for The Rise of Skywalker, but she's out talking about her film Ophelia. And in it, she was in a podcast and talking about coming up with The Rise of Skywalker, how much she loved the relationship that they built between the characters, but also her quote says, Rey and Kylo, we have a great fight. A great fight. And I was really happy that the Vanity Fair pictures did show a bit of it. It's a great fight. Like, I've become such a better fighter, and they made the lightsabers lighter, so it actually looks like we're swinging light and not just heavy swords. The second sentence I find very interesting. When she says great fight 3 or 4 times, I couldn't help but hear a Donald Trump-like cadence.
I was about to say, I didn't know
it.
she was speaking in Donald Trump.
I know.
Oh, gosh.
It's hard when you
my.
read it rather than listening to a podcast. But that's
I guess
the
it's just
comment.
like when it sounds like someone's rambling and really has nothing to say, it starts to sound like Donald Trump.
Oh, that's it. Donald Trump has been trying to not spoil how the Earth ends this entire time, so that's why he rambles.
Whenever
best
anyone's
Earth.
using
The
a lot
greatest
of
Earth.
words to say nothing, it reminds us of it.
It's one of two
But
things.
she's
You're
saying,
hiding a project
she's saying
or you're
something, but she's just trying to really sell this fight.
But I'm very excited about that. I mean, the thing that the images we've seen, the imagery that we've seen in a couple different places, is that Kylo does have his helmet again at that point, and we knew that it's being rebuilt. We don't know where it comes from, whether he does it, whether someone does it for him, but he is wearing the helmet in those shots that we've seen. Actually, I've seen the concept art. I'd have to look at the Vanity Fair image again. Does anybody remember the Vanity Fair image? Is the Vanity Fair image with helmet or not?
I don't know.
I will look that up right now. But with that in mind, what does it tell you that, we might be back to the helmet in that final battle?
My theory is, and maybe I'll spit out a hot and fresh.
Ooh, it's been a while.
It's been a while.
Vanity Fair image does not include the helmet.
Yeah. I think my guess here is what's happening is that Kylo has raised an army. Rey and gang have also raised an army of sorts, and to Kylo's dismay, he has summoned a force that's going to need to be beyond his power, and that's going to get out of control, and they're all going to have to unite to stop it.
That's it. I like that.
I think
Do you
that.
think it's going to be a giant battle where they find each other, like Batman and Bane?
Oh.
Where it's like this
Right.
this chaos and they're looking for each other.
Yes, and I think maybe they will fight each other in an epic battle, but there will be a larger bad that they're like, well, this thing will get rid of us all if we don't do this.
Like Stellan Skarsgård in the Avengers.
Yes.
I believe I did.
But isn't that a bit of, that would be a little bit, we rid ourselves of the big bad in The Last Jedi to focus on the more interesting bad in Kylo. I get what you're saying. If you're working your way towards redemption for Kylo, you're going to need something else for him to fight or for them to combine together to do something against. But I guess I'm just so much more intrigued of him continuing to be the bad guy, and let's see how that plays out where, let's see something new. Let's not see them have to team up against somebody. Let's see him lay down his sword and realize he's wrong and ask for forgiveness. That's something that would be refreshingly new to me.
I could still see that
I don't know if that's
happening.
an interesting action movie, but
I just think it would be interesting to see the person that I hate because he killed Han Solo redeem himself somehow. So I think that's interesting to me. I don't know how you could make the person that murdered Han Solo redeemable. So if they can do it for me,
Let me ask you this: do you think Anakin was redeemable?
I do. Even though
So it's just because you liked Han Solo, huh? And you didn't know any of the younglings?
I liked him.
How many younglings equal one Han Solo to you?
You stumped me. I was going to say it's because I hate sand and he hates sand, so we kind of had that point in common.
Yeah, of course. So if you can relate to someone, you want them around.
Yeah, exactly.
I think The Last Jedi already set things straight for me that I could see a redemption for Ben Solo. Like there was enough in that, in his desperation and his plea at the end of how much he wants some sort of validation. I'm ready for it, but I just think that it could be different than what we're talking about. Again, any of that can be fine. I guess I feel like we've seen that before as a way to bring a villain back to the fold, is to be like, let's collectively come together to fight a bigger threat.
Sure.
Yeah, we'll see. And the bigger threat might be Palpatine and the 4th Death Star. We'll see.
The submarine
Yeah.
Death Star?
Yeah. Oh.
I like the
Likey.
underwater Death Star. That sounds pretty amazing. And then we see some of it's a trap. We see the what's the name of that race? I can't think of the race of underwater.
The Mon Calamari?
Yes, maybe maybe they're hanging out in an old Death Star that's crashed to an ocean planet.
Finally, justice for Akbar.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, well, let's move on to our last topic, which
Speaking
is the
of
comfort
calamari, comfort food.
food. Hey, there it is.
There it is.
All right.
Comfort food is calamari.
Comfort food for calamari.
Hey, I'm Italian.
Yeah, Ryan grew up in the south of Italy. I forgot.
All right, next best thing. Long Island, baby.
For those of you who listened to the episode 3 weeks ago where Sam and I gave our comfort food Star Wars films, we haven't had a chance to hear from Ryan and Chris. And guys, let's get into it. Comfort food Star Wars film. What's
No.
the film you go back to? Oh, Chris, what do you got?
Now that's an episode I haven't heard for a long, long time. 3 weeks ago.
And
wow.
because Sam's not here and
Yeah.
someone needs to reference Bond,
Yeah.
I have to say that I
there it
found
is.
his answer positively shocking.
Oh, wow.
Whoa,
We were
buddy.
all shocked.
And I think
you
you
know what?
guys... I think there may be a level of shock in my reveal, but Chris...
Ooh.
Oh, wow. Well, so
Well,
the
I
premise,
do
for
also-
those of you,
yeah.
though, who did not listen to this before, the idea of a Star Wars comfort food, obviously every Star Wars movie makes you feel good. But what movie do you come back to when you're like, it's been a long day, I just want to watch something that makes me feel great? I told the story about how I was on a awful work trip and went and saw The Force Awakens, and it just brightened everything about my day. What do you go back to when you just want to put something on that you're like, this is going to make me feel spectacular, and it reminds me of all the things I love about Star Wars? Most of the movies will do that, but we've talked about before, The Last Jedi is maybe more of a full meal. I don't want to watch it maybe halfway watching it, even though I've seen it a bunch of times. There are other Star Wars movies where I can feel like I always can dive in no matter what. I don't need to feel like I have to watch the whole thing to still get that kind of joy. And I can get joy from any moment of Last Jedi. I'm just saying there's a little bit more to that movie.
Easily digestible. There is like a
Easy-
level of, not
Yeah.
challenging. It's kind of, it goes down easy.
Well, we hold it so sacred that I think when we watch it, it's always a special thing.
Yeah.
I do have to say Sam's answer got me a little shaken, if not stirred. But for me, I'll be honest. I know we just said how we don't watch any of them. I can watch 10 minutes of any of them at any given moment and just have it on. But
And
lately,
I think you are most of the time, right?
yeah, most of the time, my family will attest to that. When I am home, for some reason, I'll be like, "Hey, it's like Star Wars." Like Star Wars will just be on TBS because it's usually holiday weekends, and so I'll just have it on for like 10, 15 minutes at a time when we're like trying to watch something on TV, and they're like, "Really again?" But lately, and it's been Rogue One has been my kind of my comfort movie. It's something I can throw on. It's a little bit of a kind of like a war movie where you don't have to pay too much attention to. You kind of tune in the last 30 or 40 minutes of it just to see that action. But like throughout, it's got nice music. It has dips. It has highs. Like it's a good thing to have on in the background. And I think Solo is also starting to get this point. So I think kind of the side movies for me are what are taking up this comfort food area.
That makes a lot of sense.
When I do a run, I get it in my head. I gotta watch them all. So if I start one chronologically, I have to go from that movie and then loop it around. If I start at 6, I'm going all the way through. It's like I can't just willy-nilly start one of them.
Chris, the next time you
without
start
watching all
episode
6.
1,
Yeah.
I'm going to invite you over to my place and put on episode 5 and make you have to watch them out of order.
It'll be like a clockwork.
And I'll
Orange.
just be screaming. Yeah, Mike, you'll have that. You do have those things where you open your eyes.
Yep. Yep. I'm ready for you.
Yeah.
Well, riddle me this, Batman.
Oh, there it is.
Has a little bit of a similar answer to Chris, and this may be surprising. My answer is Solo.
Wow.
Wow.
Here's why. For a Star Wars movie to be easily digestible, it kind of needs to be the one that I have the least amount of stake in. And Solo, it puts me in the world. I enjoy it. It's breezy. It goes down easy. And I can kind of come and go as I please. It's something that's on. I don't feel the need to pay attention to it because, let's be honest, 40% of it doesn't even need to be there. So I put it on. I'm in Star Wars. It makes me feel cozy. It makes me feel at home. But at the same time, I can kind of be doing other things. I could be. It's just a nice warm blanket to have on as I go about my day or evening. So it's solo for me.
How do you look
my
away
other
from
answer
Lando?
was going to be episode 2, though.
Wow. But then Sam took it.
And then
But
Chris
your
kinda
reason
took this one.
Your reason for
'Cause he
episode 2
chose
must be very different though than Sam's.
My reason for episode 2 is because I like to be with the thing I love most in the world. No, it's because I've seen it probably the most, and I feel like I could put it on and I know where I'm at. It puts me in the Star Wars world, and I don't feel the need to kind of be really investing myself in every moment.
Sure.
That's fair.
So there it goes.
Well,
Yeah,
Sam
Both of my
does.
answers stolen by.
I thought about
my
Jedi.
friends.
I thought about Jedi.
Which
but then
one?
Return of the Jedi. And what keeps happening, though, is anytime I try to do that, there's always just like one scene that draws me back in. And it's usually I'll get to the ending, like the Death Star run, pretty far into it. Like if I'm doing something, I'll be like, man, I really wanted to watch them get up to this point. And then like I'll reset it and go back.
Then he goes back to episode 1.
Then I go back to episode 1, do another run.
See, but that would be the thing where I would have Jedi on, and then I'd be like, oh, I'm going to have this on in the background while I get something done. And then I stop and sit down on the couch and watch the next 45 minutes and don't get the thing done I was intending to get done.
Exactly.
And I guess that happens for me with The Force Awakens as well.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I just see The Force Awakens as I can always have that on.
Yeah.
Like, it can always be on.
Also, the stakes are higher for you. Like, you have a kid and stuff. So, like, if you get distracted, like, and he doesn't eat or something.
Yeah, that happens. You know, I mean, really,
if Chris
when you
gets
love Star
distracted
Wars,
and starts from episode 1, I mean,
it's,
what happens,
it's bad.
hey guys,
Annie?
was I supposed? Should I?
Annie?
Should I put him to
is
bed?
that you ending the show, Chris?
no, I forgot that. Anytime
I'm sorry,
I
Mike,
say
what
that.
did you say?
Yeah.
Should I put him to bed? Is it late?
Oh no.
When is he
Mike.
going to start joining the pod?
Yeah.
I think we're about maybe 3 weeks away.
Okay. I like it.
So please send us your Star Wars comfort food, droidspod@gmail.com. Follow us on
Or just
social
send us
media.
comfort food.
Yeah, actually, we'd
We'll
love
eat
that.
it.
Calamari.
I'll take all the calamari you got. Please send
Yeah.
us your calamari.
If you're going to send calamari, we do ask that you at least express ship it.
Yeah. We want that stuff within 3 days of it being cooked.
Yeah.
Good to know. We'll get that out there. We'll get a Droids mailing address very soon for all of you who are eagerly anticipating the opportunity to send us calamari.
It's a P.O. box.
Though, Chris, I think we have another contest to mention. Do we have that
yes.
to set up
We
here
do.
as well?
We do indeed. So we mentioned it on the Outpost. You have to listen to the Outpost to hear the secret words. I believe we have 2 posters now in the running. So do that. Listen to the Outpost. We mentioned a secret word about halfway to the end through. You could win some really cool posters. A Simpsons art piece. Kind of a 1950s rockabilly looking thing with the donut boy. What is that called? Like Big Boy? Is that the name of it?
Yep.
Or is it the brand name? What is it parodying? Big donut guy, the one that turns evil in one of the Halloween specials. And then we have a set of
The
4.
Lard Lad.
The Lard Lad. There it is. We have this set of 4 Star Wars original trilogy posters from Marco Menev, which are really beautiful. They're framed. I think that's kind of the grand prize. We started with the big prize first. But listen to the Outpost, get the secret word, mail us, and then you'll have a chance to win those. And they're really special. So the link to what they look like will be in the podcast description.
Please enter. Let us know. Get a chance to win these amazing posters. Thanks to Chris for putting them out there. We are wrapping up this podcast. Before we do, though, I want to get your reaction, both of you. We talked about this briefly before the pod started. Galaxy's Edge is a bit underattended at the moment. Apparently, it's
Yeah, by us.
once they got
Ayo.
past the first 4 weeks where they had everybody signing up for 4-hour blocks, there's been a lot of open space and a lot of easy access into Galaxy's Edge. Of course, they're still sold out of some of the most popular merchandise, but
You know, I was afraid this. Christian Harloff really did some damage on this one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They really badmouthed him, and man, he showed them.
well, the working theory is that Disney blocked out annual pass holders for Disneyland because they wanted to make sure enough people who are coming to town for Star Wars Land would have the opportunity to go there. So the annual pass holders were held off. Now, I don't know this from experience, but word has been that, Disneyland is more of a park for people local in California. You don't have as many people traveling from all over the country because, let's be honest, unless you live in the area between, like, say, the state of Illinois and Nevada, you're probably closer to get to Florida. And it's probably easier to take a trip there with much more at your fingertips than going to Anaheim. So people make the destination travel trip out to Disney World, not to Disneyland. And when you block out the annual pass holders, those locals don't come. So it's not just been Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. It's also been the rest of the park. It's been relatively empty. But for those of you who are on the West Coast and have been waiting, take this opportunity and go to Galaxy's Edge because this may be the best time to check it out.
Yeah.
And I got to say, as a former annual pass holder to Disneyland, I'm furious.
Yeah.
The 2013 me, ooh, he's mad.
He's rough.
Yeah.
I feel like Disney park goers, aside from Star Wars fans, like that's its own tribe of people, is it not?
You mean like annual pass holders and things like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, there is. I mean, I can only speak to the Disneyland from when I lived in California, and Mike is accurate. It is mostly local-ish people. It's like people from Los Angeles or from Orange County, San Diego, and Anaheim, of course. But there is more of a day trip feel.
Yeah.
Because it's smaller. It's like people go to Disney World, you can go for a week. But like Disneyland, you could basically do in a day and a half.
Okay.
So it does tend to be more local people who know the parks. They kind of have their way, like, they have their whole routine when they go. People more familiar with it. It's just less out-of-towners.
Disney World is 4 parks that you could experience at least one of them in multiple days, and you could then go to Universal on another day. So, I mean, there's a lot to do when you go down to Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
Is the Galaxy's Edge going to be the same size between both parks?
Both parks are exactly the same size, 14 acres. So
Wow.
a lot of space. And there is the actual reality of the Rise of the Resistance ride is not opened yet. So
That's
for those people...
that is like a huge deterrent, the fact that the biggest attraction is not open yet.
Yeah.
But have to think
And you
about
know
it.
what?
They knew that they could make money for 5 months or however long it is.
Releasing a half
by doing half a park, yeah.
Yeah. And also maybe it gives away some spoilers.
Well, I'm glad that they saved all that money by not sending some film journalists for free.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
would
right?
like to take this opportunity to ask all of our listeners to bully Chris into joining me at Galaxy's Edge for opening at Disney World. Please inundate him with emails and phone calls and tweets and Facebook pokes.
Should I give my phone number?
Yeah,
Should
put
I give
it
my
out there.
phone number?
Give the phone number.
Yeah.
Chris is unwilling to
1-800.
join a all expenses paid. No, it's not. Trip.
Wait a second. I didn't know this. I'm in.
But please let us know
Yeah.
that Chris should go. I would
Or
say
if-
you could bully Ryan and Sam, but we knew that Chris was the one who was possibly making the trip.
I'm the weak.
most
I'm the weak.
susceptible.
I'm the weakest link. I can. I'm the most force. Yeah, I'm the most force susceptible here.
So call 1-800-555-CHRIS-23.
Oh no. If you've gone to Galaxy's Edge, please let us know what you think. Also, right?
Yeah. Send us in a little report. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah.
Email us a voice recording if you've been to Galaxy's Edge. Tell us about your experience. Tell us about Oga's Cantina and getting your first lightsaber. All the things that Chris will be doing in over 1 month's time.
Oh boy, I'm gonna buy a $20,000 droid.
You're going to have to buy a
boy.
ticket for the plane. No, this is my partner.
That was pretty good.
Hey,
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
That's better R2 sounds than I could make.
yeah, well, I didn't go out a lot in high school.
On that note, that is going to do it for the Droid You're Looking For, a Star Wars podcast. We'll be back next week. Sam will rejoin us. Maybe another Outpost will be thrown in here. Please check out those episodes. They are a lot of fun. Get a chance to hear us talk about some other topics as well as our mainline episodes. Follow us on Twitter, DroidsPod, Instagram, DroidsPod, Facebook, The Droids Podcast. Email us, droidspod@gmail.com. Rate and review us on iTunes. And send everything you've got at Chris. Give him everything you got to get him to go to Galaxy's Edge. That's it for the Droid You're Looking For, a Star Wars podcast.
What they throw? Annie? It was a leaf blower or flamethrower.
Ophelia, I hardly know ya.
Millennial Falcon.